Hello, I am Pheasant Clop, and welcome to this video. Um, this is the second of two parts, and I'm still new at this, so we're still trying to figure everything out. But to go back over what the first part was, having heard over the past few months from several different places, the current decline of the comic book industry, I'd thought about what I would do to try to reverse the trend. And with the word of the quote bloodbath unquote at DC Comics, I thought I'd put some of those ideas into a video and decided to limit myself to 10 ideas. So I did the first five and it came to over 10 minutes. When I'd done the original version of the video, it came to over 20. I decided that's going to be a little long, so I'm going to do it in two pieces. So I did the first five, and so I wanted to do the second part of this and get it out there so I could be publicly humiliated twice. But we're going to go on and we're going to do this anyway. So here's the second part of the list of the top 10 things that I would do to fix DC Comics. And starting with number 6, and that is to keep the language cleaner. The I'm the GD Batman, that goes away forever. That's kind of language we don't want kids really being exposed to. Some people may not feel that way. I do. I think it shows a lack of creativity on the writer's part, and they would have to be more creative with their cursing, and bring back the symbols they used to use for swear words. Now, and I'm not a businessman, and I know it, but there are some business decisions I would make, and this one is probably right at the top of the list of that, and might need to be number one overall considering what's happened in the comic book industry, and that is to keep writers and artists, etc., from insulting or arguing with the customers. And that's what fans are. They are customers. And if you're chasing off your customers, you're killing your business. And you need not to do that. So, and another thing is to get the comic books out where the people are. Put a comic book rack at the checkout at Walmart or close to it, at Target, grocery stores. They used to have these things. I would spend a lot of time. Drove my mom crazy. I'd be standing here at the comic book rack going, ooh, here's a Spider-Man, here's a Superman, here's a Hulk. Drove her nuts. But it's right there. Get the kids looking at them. They're going to want them if they see them. And you might be able to sell more of them. Might have to make a special line aimed at younger kids, but that's okay. And number 9, keep the cost down. Maybe use a cheaper paper, at least on some of the comics. Maybe on some of the experimental or newer comics, use a cheaper paper. What is it they used to call it? Newsprint, I think they used. Do something like that. Let's see. And last on the list is don't be afraid of turnover. You don't need to have a stable of super famous artists and writers. Expect them to leave. I think the comic book industry has always been famous for not paying people, and that's something that probably would continue to at least some degree, especially when you start. Because you've got a lot of kids coming out with art degrees that would be willing to work cheap to get that on their resume. Hey, I did Aquaman for 6 months. But you make sure they know when they get hired that at first it's not going to be a lot of money. If they last, pay them a good wage, at least enough to live wherever it is the offices are, and expect them to get a better job and leave. You're going to have this turnover of people coming in, getting the job, doing it long enough to get it on their resume, and then going off and finding something else. Because comic books aren't for everyone. I can't believe I spent 3 months doing this comic book and they're still not happy with it. It's going to happen. Or people are going to come in and they're going to think, I can do better than this. I am much better than drawing Spider-Man. Or I can do better than doing Batman. This is just ridiculous. I'm going to do something important. Well, go do something important. The kid over there graduated 3 months ago is better than you are anyway. And I mean, after all, Stan Lee didn't intend to make comic books a career. He later changed his name, I think, legally to Stan Lee, but to begin with, it was an alias because he was going to go off and write the great American novel. And he ended up staying and making that his career and becoming a legend. And something else is maybe getting retirees. You know, they just retired, they're sitting around the house, they're getting a little antsy. Give them some part-time work. You know, here's a comic book. We know you can work with a deadline. So can you at least do the pencils for this comic book in the next few weeks? Or do a cover. Yeah, maybe have the retirees do the cover, because then you just have to do the one thing. You can look at their work. You know they can still draw or they can still write. And they're just looking for something to do in their free time. So, this is something they can do in their free time. And they're just making some pocket money. So that's the end of the list of the 10 ideas for saving DC Comics. I'm going to be doing at least one video focusing on individual characters. I may break that down. I'm thinking about doing 4. I was thinking about the top 3 and decided to throw in Green Lantern as well, kind of to warm up to that topic. I'll go into detail a little bit on how I would try to limit and expand the character as well. Some of the things is something they may have done in the past, but, that's something to go over in the video. That's it for now. Don't forget to comment below, and on the off chance you like the video, feel free to like it as well. Only my second video, so I'm hesitant about mentioning subscribing, but if you'd like to be notified when the next one comes in, hopefully YouTube does that. Because subscribing right now seems to me like putting an end table in an empty room. But again, if you want to be notified when that next one comes in, I am Pheasant Clop. Take care, and as Gary at Nerdrotic used to say, may the small folks sing songs of your greatness. I miss him saying that. I really do.